the way, I was going to tell you, be careful with Dagger. I overheard her talking with Genesis not so good about you, and I'm, concerned. I just watch that whole situation. She makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, but they're my friends. They invited me to work out with them.
I mean, I feel you, but I think you should definitely just be cognizant of it, because I feel like she has ulterior motives and doesn't have your best interest.
Are you sure? Because I feel like I'm getting some kind of weird vibe off of this. Or are you just being paranoid about the situation?
No, not at all. I don't care about them or if you guys are friends, but, you're my partner, so I care about you.
Are you sure you're just not being paranoid and thinking that everyone's a bully?
What do you mean?
Just how you're just like always thinking that everyone's a bully out there. And I just don't see the situation being like that.
Wow. You got a lot to learn, kid.
And we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
The World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Here we go with another episode in review for WoW Season 4. This is your host, Mr. How are you doing? WoW continues to roll on with their new matches, new episodes, catching up with the WoW girls and these new tapings that are happening. And if I didn't say it before, I'm pretty sure I did, but if I didn't say it before, I have to say now that the episodes have been pretty entertaining. They've been pretty enjoyable. Far better than where they were in Season 2 and Season 3. Before we go into that, I do want to make mention of a couple of things. One, I do have a correction. I had forgotten something in the last review. I think I got confused with the commentators, or I shouldn't say confused. I forgot. Let me just put it out there. I forgot. Stephen Dickey is the commentator, not Dan Masters. So you seeing Dan Masters on screen while they're still commentating going on is not a continuity error. That was just an error on my part. So I'm not too big to admit that was a clear mistake on my end. So, it happens. I will give that. So, yeah, WoW has been doing well, and even doing well in terms of continuity and all that stuff. They've been keeping things going. So that is the correction from the last review, if you happen to hear that. Also, let's get some of these plugs out the way now. If you have not done so, we would appreciate if you went on to Twitter and followed us on WPN Wrestling. At WPN Wrestling, which you can find very easily. Also, that is the same handle for us as a website, WPNWrestling.com. So either one of those, we certainly appreciate those who have taken the jump to follow us and follow and like in our various platforms, that being Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. The growth does help. And we want to continue to be able to do that. So if you haven't done so already, if you're new to it, if you followed us on Podbean or whatever platform that you happen to be doing it, please jump on one of those other social media platforms for us and just give us a like or a follow or whatever the case may be. It helps out a lot. Also, if you have not gotten your trial in on the WPN's Best of Volume 1, that is still going on. You got a free 14 days to sample the goods on that particular video. 14 days, 2 weeks, where you can go on there. You can click the link on our YouTube channel, which will take you right over to Women's Pro Wrestling Network Plus, and that will give you the full 2-hour plus video, including 3 bonus matches, all hosted by our lovely host April D, who's kind of carrying the matches and the stories in between them. So you definitely want to check that out. And again, it's free. You know, what are you missing? How can you not want to take advantage of a freebie? A freebie for a solid 2 weeks, half a month. That's good material right there. And of course, if you are checking this out, then we're going to ask that you stay tuned to our website. Again, a free plug for that, WPNWrestling.com. Because we're going to have some links that are going to pop up there. And if you are looking for ways that you can support this channel, this endeavor, that will be one of them by going on to WPNWrestling.com. And you can do a variety of things, actually. You can drop in a donation. And we have a couple of different platforms for that. You can donate on Facebook. You can go to WPNWrestling.com. You can go to our Patreon page, which is Women's Pro Wrestling Network, and become a Patreon. We just started that up not too long ago, and we're looking to get that kind of rolling so we can create a central location for donations, opposed to having them all kind of scattered out. We haven't consolidated it yet, but we're trying to consolidate it down to that one location. So for those that have already begun to do it, you could try in that location. If you haven't done it yet, I would urge you to kind of push over to Patreon and search out Women's Pro Wrestling Network if you are looking to support the show or the shows that come on to our YouTube channel and our Podbean site. We got a couple of different things. Let's just go ahead and put it out there. We got a couple of different things that's going on, a couple of different ways that you can show your support. But, of course, also passing it around, liking and sharing the videos and the audio. That is one of the biggest supports that you can have, because when the analytics come in, that gives us the opportunity to get the sponsors to back this thing up, because once they know that you're listening, you know, they are fully happy to support the show. So that's that. Anyway, now moving on. What we are reviewing today is episode 6, Friends or Foes, which is, of course, the matchup between the Bully Busters. And they have played this up a little bit following the end of the previous video where Stephy Slayz accepts a match on behalf I shouldn't say on behalf of Colleen Snyder, in place of Colleen Snyder, who was scheduled to be at the Wild tapings, but for whatever reason did not appear, and they kind of seemingly worked that into the story. Well, apparently, or maybe she didn't have any relation to him at all. I don't know. But we're going to go with the storyline version of it, that Colleen Snyder, MMA fighter, did not make it in for whatever reason, and Stephy Slayz steps up. But that aside, the episode starts with the Bully Busters working out and Keta Rush warning Steffi about Dagger, like, you know, saying that I overheard them saying some stuff about you, so, you know, be careful about them, around them. I'm not necessarily sure where that's going, because that seemingly came out of nowhere, especially when the last thing that we saw with the Bully Busters was Stephy Slayz accepting the match. We haven't seen any footage of her hanging around Dagger or any of this stuff that's going on. So it seems to have come out of the blue, but, you know, whatever. I can only assume that somewhere next season they're going to bring this up and retread on this particular issue, that you're being naive to these people that's acting like your friends. And that's essentially how the segment comes off. It comes off as Steffi Slayz being naive and like, what are you talking about? They're my friends, you know. I mean, she really comes off maybe like a 12-year-old there. But the segment apparently is there to drive a rift into the team, or at least illustrate the rift into the team. So we move on, and the commentators are playing up the idea that Steffi and Keta may have issues. And that's not initially apparent In fact, I would say the match begins as an all babyface confrontation. There's handshakes and high fives between the two. And the match in and of itself is essentially a collection of moves and counter moves. And for all you wrestling purists out there, because I know a good deal of the people that listen to this and come to our channel and listen to these reviews are probably more wrestling pure than some of the initial or casual WoW viewers are. And, I expect that because a lot of you guys like the girls on the independent circuit. And if you like the girls on the independent circuit, then you're used to having a strong match. Well, I will say Keta Rush and Stephy Slayz actually provided a strong match. Now, that's high praise. That's high praise considering that both of these girls are WoW originals and really have no wrestling background to speak of. I know that they've worked very hard to kind of maintain their spot and get some practice in there. I know they've had this exhibition match. I believe they had it on a full MMA card. The Stephy Slayz and Keta Rush match did take place someplace else outside of this, so it's not like they were necessarily strangers to each other. They did have that, and as they went on, they just kind of did the old game of human chess, as Larry Zbyszko used to reference it, and they did a good job. And again, I can't say enough how, considering that both of them didn't come from the indies and that they only really learned wrestling as a part of being cast, I should say, into the WoW roster, they did fairly well. McLean references Keta Rush's growth as an MMA fighter and her being the creator of the Bully Buster movement, all of which is absolutely true. That is a shoot. It's not made up for the show. She is and does practice mixed martial arts, and she is the creator of the Bully Buster movement, which is to some degree part of the reason why she carries the name The Bully Buster and Steffi doesn't, even though they were the Bully Busters team previously. And that's not to say they won't get back together, but during my interview with her, and you can find that interview on our YouTube channel, just search out Keta Rush interview, and you can hear all about that. Even then, she was talking about, she wasn't sure if they were going to come back collectively or not, but she knew that she was going to at least carry the title of the Bully Buster, mainly because of the work that she does outside the ring, where she kind of she's a big advocate for ending bullying in school, as her background story. And again, her background story and Steffi's background story is completely legit. Both of them were bullied as kids in high school, and that kind of got incorporated into their characters on TV. So all of that stuff is really kind of a nice garnish to the match, hearing them bring in more references. I love that they have changed that. I said it in one of the earlier reviews. I say it now. It is a lot less cartoony than what WoW used to be, and they're bringing in a lot more realism into it in terms of the presentation. Even the fact that Keta Rush walks in there in essentially a superhero outfit, it doesn't play into the idea like, oh, well, we got a superhero in the ring. I wonder what planet she came from. They don't do none of that. They have her be her. And Keta Rush is just the name that she wrestles under. And same thing with Stephy Slayz. Stephy Slayz is just the name that she wrestles under. And they treat them both as athletes. And that's cool. I like that. The match gets more aggressive, but it does stick to a move and counter move kind of motif. The end of it comes when Steffi charges Keta. Keta jumps up and applies a body scissors and then transitions that into a go-go palata, or at least it's called a go-go palata initially. It's actually a triangle choke. It was called incorrectly. And I think they fixed that call at the end of the match during the replay. But when the end of the match comes, Steffi taps out to the triangle choke. And it seems like this is the only complaint that I have about the match. So let me put that out. I thought the match was fine. I enjoyed the match, but this is the only complaint. Seems like WoW wanted this to be a disputed finish, and if you haven't had the chance to check it out, I would say go to WWE.com and look up episode 6 so you can see what I'm talking about. With them wanting it to be a disputed finish, and we've seen this a number of times in wrestling where the submission and the pinfall happens at the same time. Well, it looks like they wanted Keta's shoulders to be down and the ref to count 3 just as Steffi was tapping out. But what happened there was, and let me be clear, this is just my assumption because of the way that they treated it. But what happens here is that when she applies the triangle choke, the ref does begin to count 3, but he stops when Keta rolls her shoulder up. And they play on the idea that the ref couldn't see Steffi tapping out on the other side, and the ref, being blinded, has to ask her for not her permission, but he has to ask her, "Did you give up? Did you give up?" And she essentially acknowledges that. She shakes her head yes, and the match is given. Given to Keta, so I don't really understand the idea behind it's such a disputed finish or the controversy that took place in there. But I'll go into that a little bit later as we go into the bonus clips that take place. The match was good. The ending was bad. I'll say that. Or the finish was bad. Following the match, they go to a segment where you have David McClain, Sophia Lopez, Alana Starr. They don't all meet together. David is having dinner or lunch or in a restaurant, which is like on a boat or a yacht or something like that. And Sophia Lopez and Alana Starr essentially crash his lunch. And this is the segment where we are explained through Sophia Lopez and Alana Starr that they have outmaneuvered him. They've managed to secure a title match for Alana, whomever she designates as her substitute. Because the first thing David McClain says is that you can't have the match. You're hurt. We've already talked about this. I've talked to your doctor. You're injured. You can't. There's no way that you can step into the ring, and I'm not signing for it. Well, this is where Sophia Lopez and Lana present him with the contract, and she says, well, you didn't go back through the contract after you gave it to me. She's had some amendments added into it, which states that if she is unable to defend or wrestle for the championship for any reason, she would be able to name her replacement. And again, good on them is that it explains exactly how Amber O'Neal, the Beverly Hills Babe, now as they call her, gets the title match. This is how she gets the title match. So now David is kind of dumbfounded. He's saying, "Oh man, you pulled a fast one on over me." It's a well-produced segment. It's shot well. Is for what they have to do inside the scene. It's acted well. I really didn't have a problem with many of the girls acting badly, except for maybe one, and I'll get into that on the next one because she doesn't appear here. But it's well produced. It's well produced stuff. The last segment that happens on this particular episode is with Jesse Jones and Selena Majors, who some of us wrestling fans know as Jessie Belle Smothers and Bambi from back in the day, but they are collectively known on WoW as Southern Pride. And what they're doing, of course, we saw Selena Majors pick up Jesse Jones the last episode and take her back to, take her out to eat. I think they went to Denny's, and now she's taking her out to this little location that she found that reminds her of the South. And they're shooting cans and, just having fun. And then they go into cutting a promo on Riot's Girls, telling them that, that we're going to teach you guys respect about, the business and all that good stuff. The one thing I don't understand in this, and maybe somebody else can watch it and explain it to me, but the one thing I don't understand is why Selena keeps putting Jessie into the same age category as her. I mean, I know she's not literally saying that, yeah, Jessie's the same age as her. She doesn't literally say that. But on a couple of occasions there, she keeps implying it by saying, yeah, when we got into the business, it wasn't like that. I was like, well, what do you mean we got into the business? And I'm not trying to put Selena's age or anything out there. I'm certainly not knocking that. But she says it herself at a later episode. Selena's about 50 years old. And Jesse's not close to that. In fact, by the time Selena was probably 20, Jesse was probably just being born. So, I don't know. All of that to say is that I enjoy the promo. I like how she's doing it. I just didn't really get this whole idea of putting her into the essentially same age bracket. I could understand it if she said, "Hey, Jesse Jones grew up in a wrestling family and she understands what it's about. Her dad taught her respect for the business, and that's why I like her. That's why I called her out here. That's why she's on my side. That's we're part of Southern Pride together, because she was brought up the right way." That I could believe, because it's true. She was brought up in the wrestling family. She's the daughter of Tracy Smothers, and that right there alone puts her into a different category. But maybe it's just a slip of the tongue. Maybe they want you to believe that they're the same. I don't know that, but there's no possible way that you could buy that. But in any case, that is how the show ends. The show ends setting the stage for Southern Pride to step in the ring with Riot's girls on the next episode. And all in all, the episode was fine. Even the match. Like I said, the finish of the match wasn't the best, because it didn't seem like it was worked out the way that they wanted to, but it still was a fun match between the two of them. And man, you got to say, considering the fact that they are WoW original girls, they really stepped it up a notch, and that may be because you got so many indie girls that's there now that you got to pull your weight. And the Keta Rush and Stephy Slayz for two WoW girls, two WoW originals, to be in there with the other WoW original and not have another indie girl in there to kind of carry the load for them. I thought they did a fantastic job. I just wish the ending, I wish the finish would have been a little bit more smooth or made a little bit more sense. The bonus clip continues to play up on the controversy between the Bully Busters. They show footage of the tap out, and Dan Masters is talking to the referee who was in question, and he's explaining himself. He's saying, "Well, I was going to count her shoulders down, and but she just let go of the hold, and I didn't understand what was going on, and I couldn't see the tap out on the other side. But then I asked her, and I determined that it must have been a tap out, So I rang the bell and awarded the match to Keta Rush." With him saying all that, I didn't understand. I was like, well, what's the controversy? If you went through all of that and you determined that she must have tapped out following all of this stuff, where does the controversy lie? Again, and now this is bonus footage. It's not necessarily connected directly to that main episode, but it's supposed to explain the whys behind what's going on, and it didn't seem to explain it to me. I would have rather them just knocked off the bonus episodes or the bonus clips altogether, or at least that one. The second one was okay. The second one actually seems like it serves a point. The second one has Dan Masters interviewing Steffi as she's walking out of what looks like a kitchen, but they say it's a locker room. So, and she's basically complaining about losing in an MMA style hold, which is another thing I don't necessarily get, because it's wrestling. What hold in wrestling is illegal to where she wouldn't be able to apply it? The whole reason that she had to move in is because it's a submission hold and I could put you out with it. And wrestling has incorporated these things for some time now. I mean, we just saw it not all that long ago with Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles. If you haven't and you're on the WWE Network, just shame on you. You should go check out that match. But it makes her seem like a bit of a sore loser to me, and I'm sure that's not exactly what they wanted to pass off. I know they probably wanted more sympathy out out of the viewer to Stephanie for her plight of having tapped out and her friend becoming aggressive with her. Well, the match, they progressively got aggressive in the match between the two of them on their own. So I didn't see where the problem was. The last thing that happens is, as she's explaining all this, Keta walks out and seems pretty nonchalant about the whole deal. That, well, okay, yeah, you lost. I thought we had a great match. What's the problem? Steffi goes into saying, well, I didn't think you would do me like that. I mean, this isn't verbatim, but more or less she's saying, I didn't think you would do me like that, and you didn't even check on me to see if I would, if I could talk. And Keta more or less turns to her and says, well, I knew you wouldn't be able to talk. It's kind of suggesting that, well, I put the hole on you and I choked you out. Of course you wouldn't be able to talk. So what are you asking me for? And then she just walks off. So they leave the seed kind of planted that there's trouble in paradise, if you will, and that there could be a rift in the team of the Bully Busters because they're getting kind of antsy with each other. But I completely side with Keta Rush on this. I don't see where the issue lies. I don't see what the problem was. You asked for this match, and we're talking all storyline here. Stephy Slayz asked for the match. She volunteered to step into the ring against Keta Rush, who was training to get in the ring with another MMA fighter, or at least MMA style of a fight. They have the match. Nothing illegal takes place in it. She didn't hold it tight or hit it with a chair or, remove the turnbuckles or anything else that you could constitute as being illegal in the match. But Steffi is still going on about, how could you do that to me? And it makes us seem, again, naive, weak, complaining, or whatever, however you choose to define it. I found it very easy to side with Keta Rush on this one. Very easy. So, that was pretty quick. That is episode 6 in a nutshell. It is worth watching if you are a WoW fan, and I can only assume that you are. If you are listening to this. But, I mean, you may be looking at it because you might be catching us on YouTube. So let's get all of this stuff out. If you are listening to this on any of the various platforms that were mentioned earlier in the show, whether that be a link on Facebook or YouTube channel, you got the audio version on Podbean or iTunes, Google Play, wherever you have it, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you taking time to listen to it. You can drop us a like and leave a review if you can. If you have any statements about WoW after you watch this particular episode, please leave them below or whatever platform you have to be on. I'd love to read it. I'd love to hear your opinions about, how WoW has transitioned. Do you think that is for the best, that they have upped their presentation and have people looking at this as a little bit more of a wrestling promotion opposed to just a TV show that just happens to have wrestling in it? So that's it, folks. That covers the full review of episode 6, Friends or Foes. Be sure to catch us on the next one when I do episode 7, A Matter of Pride, which will feature Southern Pride taking on Riot's Girls, Spike and Razor, and they have some segments in that episode that are going to be worth talking about as well. So that's it, folks. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Be sure to click the link for the MP3 if you need to listen to this on the go and download it. Or if you have a Podbean app, just go on to Podbean and subscribe to us right there. Easy stuff. So, from me to you, thank you for listening, folks. Be sure to support us on our various platforms and various venues. I do appreciate it. And so long, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.